And it's always a thing here in the Southeast that if we are expected to get snow or ice, everybody panics and runs to the grocery store and buys bread and milk. Not sure how it is in other places. But today I'm going to show you a super simple bread recipe so that you do not get in a pinch if you don't find any bread at the grocery store. And I guarantee you that you already have all the things you need other than maybe dry active yeast. You still have time. Go to the grocery store and buy yeast and you'll be all set if you're snowed in. Now I'm going to use my mixer, but if you don't have one, don't panic. You can definitely still make this bread by hand. It may just take a little extra time and a little more elbow grease. First up, I have 2 cups of warm water into my bowl. Warm meaning somewhere around 85 to 90 degrees. And that's because your yeast needs some temperature to it to activate, but you don't want it too hot or else it'll scald it and it won't activate at all. 2 cups of water in our bowl, and next we're gonna add 1.5 tablespoons of yeast. 1 and roughly a half. Then a half cup of regular white granulated sugar. Then we're going to give it a good mix. We're going to cover it with our dishcloth and let it sit for about 5 minutes or so the yeast will activate. Once your yeast is activated, it's going to look similar to this. Kind of foamy on top with some bubbles. Then we're going to add a 4th cup of butter, which is half of a stick melted, and 1 tablespoon of salt. Give it a mix, then we're going to add in some flour. We're going to do a total of 6 cups of flour, but I'm going to go ahead and put in 2 here and kind of get it formed before I take it over to my mixer. I use just store brand unbleached flour. I have used bleached flour plenty of times in the past, so if that's all you've got, that will work perfectly fine. All-purpose flour. That's 2. Maybe I'll go ahead and put 3. I'm just going to give this a good mix just to kind of get it incorporated together. Kind of like that. Then we'll take it over to my mixer. Here with my mixer, I'm just using my basic dough hook. I'm going to get it mixed and on about speed 2. Then we'll start adding our other flour in. I typically have to stop my mixer a couple times just so I can rake the flour off the side of the bowl and maybe off the bottom, just so it's good and incorporated. Here's my last cup of flour. Once your dough starts pulling together, you want to go ahead and just let it knead for about 3 or 4 more minutes. If you're doing it by hand, maybe 8 minutes. Once your dough is done, you're going to go ahead and put it on your counter or your work surface and knead it out just another minute or so just to get it formed good. Typically in the past, I have floured my surface, but I was doing a little bit of research on hopefully some new equipment last night, and the guy I was watching recommended instead of using flour, just to use some oil on the surface. So that's what I'm going to do today. You could just pour it right on the counter, but I have this little spritzer bottle, so I'm going to use that. And then I'm also going to do the same to a bowl, which is what I'm going to put the dough in to rise. You want to oil it some so that the dough does not stick to the bowl. Here's our dough. It's kind of sticky like that. We're just going to put it right on the counter. I put it right on the counter. Some people use like pastry dough mats. That would be okay too. And then we're just going to pull it together. For the purpose of using the oil instead of the flour, when you use a flour on the surface, it doesn't stick, but it causes flour to be on the surface of the dough, which makes it a little drier. Which, when he said that, it made perfect sense to me. So we have a nice little round ball. We're going to put it into our bowl, cover the dough and let it sit so that it will double in size. Now typically I let mine rise for about an hour, but the last few weeks, since it has been so cold here, it's been more like an hour and a half to 2 hours. So just cover it and sit it in a fairly warm place. I typically sit it over on my stove. You could just throw a regular kitchen cloth over it. This is just a little bonnet I picked up at like maybe Five Below or somewhere like that, and they work really well. So go buy your yeast or whatever it is you need and come back this afternoon, and we're going to split this out into 2 loaves, let it rise again and bake it, and by the end of the day we will have some delicious bread.